Hi, it's Ingrid, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's time for the mid-year book tag. I did this last year and I'm gonna do it again. It's currently June 23rd, I think, yeah, when I'm filming this. And I'm hoping to upload it today. If not, it will be coming in the next few days. And right now I have my piles of books sorted here. And I'm gonna try to show you them. I've tried to find answers for these questions that are different, like not different from other people. Like, I don't want to do the same book for every question, so I've tried to like split it up. Sometimes I have to repeat a book, but then I've tried to add another book as well to like make it a little more interesting. But all my answers are true, obviously, so I couldn't not show a book just because I've said it before, so I'm gonna have to repeat myself a little bit. It's extremely warm in my room right now. For the past few weeks it's been raining a lot, so my room has been like perfect. It's been kind of cold, but now the sun is back and my room is unbearable, so we're just gonna have to deal with that. I don't really know how I'm gonna do this because I want to be organized, but I have the questions written down with the answers and then I've sorted them into piles. Most of these questions are the same I did last year and the same questions that everyone else does. I don't know who started this tag, but I'm sure you can find it online somewhere. I don't really know. I tried last year, couldn't find it, but I know that everyone's doing this. And then I added a few questions from Katie Whitrock. I don't know if I said her name right, I'm sorry, but I did a few of her questions and then I added some myself. So I think we're just gonna get started. Should we do some statistics? I think I've read 32. I'm gonna check that actually. I've read 34 books so far this year and started 5, I believe. Wait, I'm gonna count just in case. 5. Yeah, I've started 5. So yeah, 2 of those were rereads, the ones of the 34 I've read. I'm not really much of a rereading person, but that's not important. We're gonna get into the questions. I'm gonna have to look at my phone to read the questions. It doesn't matter, you know how it works. Let's get started. My hair will not cooperate today. I'm hating everything about it. So if I touch my hair a lot, I'm sorry. But question number 1 is the best book you've read so far in 2024. I have 3 answers for this. I had to narrow it down a lot, and it was very difficult for me, but I think I've got 3 books that are like on top of that list. The first one of the first books I read, I believe, A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. I really liked A Court of Thorns and Roses. It wasn't my favorite. I think I rated it 4 stars. Wasn't too hyped for this, but I read it and I fell absolutely in love with it. It's a 5-star read. Top 3 book ever, I believe. Tapped it quite a lot. Obsessed with it. I read the ending of this and I'm so excited for the next book. I haven't picked it up yet because I feel like it's just such a big commitment that I'm not very ready for. I'm going to read it soon, but I need to be in the right state of mind. It has to be the right time. I'm not going to tell you too much about this book because I don't want to spoil it, but this series is about this girl who gets taken into the fairy realm where she meets a fairy, obviously, and then there's some challenges that occurs. I don't want to say too much because I feel like this is a series that is so good to go in blind. I'm glad I didn't know more than I did. I feel like it's very easy to find spoilers of this because even things you might not really consider a spoiler could spoil things, and I don't want to do that. So I'm not going to say much more about it, but I was obsessed. It made me cry, it made me so excited, and I love this book. Another one of my favorites this year, Done and Dusted by Lilac Sage. I've heard so much about this. This is a little cowboy romance. I've heard so much about this, but I didn't pick it up immediately. I don't know why, but I did now. Fell absolutely in love. This girl is like a, what does she do? Like, she does like horse racing, but then she gets injured, so she comes back to her home, to her family ranch. This guy Luke Brooks is her brother's best friend, and he also works on her family ranch. They meet. They were had like this kind of a rivalry growing up. They didn't really like each other. Then they meet again and things happened. I was so obsessed with this book. I felt a lot, and that's my favorite thing about a book, when it can make me feel. And I was just obsessed with everything. I think the writing is so good. It's very quick, like it's a quick read. And it's short, obviously, which is kind of sad because I love this so much. My third book for my favorite, also my last one, Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This shouldn't be a surprise. Kind of is. I was very scared of going into this because it's very different from the Grishaverse, which I've loved by her. So I wasn't really sure what to expect with this, but I am utterly obsessed. The writing in this just flows so well. In the beginning it was a little slow for me. I wasn't the biggest fan, but I loved her writing so much that I just kept reading and I couldn't put it down. And then when we got further into the story, I became obsessed with that as well. I think Leigh Bardugo is a genius when it comes to writing books, because her writing is so good, but she writes such good characters and the plot was good and I was invested all the way through, and I'm so glad that the sequel is out. So I'm gonna read that very soon, but I love this one. I'm so glad I read it. The next question is the best sequel I've read so far this year. For this one I was a little confused. I don't know if you can hear that. I'm gonna stop the clip and see if I can hear it on the camera, because if you can, then I'm not gonna be filming right now. I don't think you can hear it on camera. I checked, I couldn't. If I import this to my laptop and I can hear it, I will be upset. But anyways, best sequel. I wasn't really sure what to do here, because I've read a few and I wanted to mention a lot more, but I narrowed it down to two new ones. Obviously, I have to say, I quoted Mist and Fury. I just talked about that one. Obsessed. But we're not going to talk more about that because I just mentioned it. So, Wildfire by Hannah Grace. I love this book. This one I think is the best sequel because I wasn't the biggest fan of Icebreaker. So going into this one I wasn't sure what to think. I wasn't expecting much, but then I fell in love. It's a 5-star read. I was obsessed with everything. This is about Russ, who is on the same team as Nate in Icebreaker, the same hockey team. This one doesn't take place during like hockey season. This is on like summer. During summer they go to this camp and they see each other again because they have a one-night stand at the party. Doesn't think they're gonna see each other again. Meet at the camp. Things happen. They try to stay away from each other. Well, one of them at least, because the rules at the camp is like they can't be together. But then they fell in love, obviously, and it's their story. I loved it. I was obsessed. I loved the characters. I loved the relationship. I loved all of the feelings that I felt while reading this book. Don't know what to say about any of these books. I don't know how to do this. Another mention is The Viscount Who Loved Me by Julia Quinn. I read the first Bridgerton book in 2022, I believe, and then I have had this for a while. Never wanted to pick it up because I didn't really think I cared. But then I did read it and it really surprised me. I fell in love, loved everything about it. Because I've convinced myself for some reason that I don't like historical romance. But I'm obsessed, and Anthony Bridgerton is the love of my life. If you don't know what Bridgerton is about, where have you been? This is about the Bridgerton family, 8 siblings, and you follow along. Each of them has their own book and you see like their lives. They're going to like balls and they're getting married. I think that's the point of it, going to get married. And I loved it. Question number 3. New release you haven't read yet but want to. So for this one I have a very new release. I bought this June 1st. Came out June 11th. Don't know what happened there. Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. If you've been on my channel before, you've heard me talk about her. One of my favorite authors. I love her romance. She usually writes adult romances. This is her 4th one. Technically 5th because she has a book with 3 novellas in it. But I've read every single one of her book except for Bride. I feel like she's been branching out recently. I don't know if Bride technically is a fantasy. It's a paranormal romance. I don't know what you want to call it, really. Some people talk about it as a fantasy, some people doesn't. I haven't read it, so I don't really know. That book is scary to me, but that's not the point. This is another one of her adult romances. Don't know exactly what it's about. Don't want to know. I've heard a few things. I think it's like a workplace romance. Everything is, so not surprising. It's about women in STEM. It's very spicy. I feel like people have said that this is the spiciest one. So I don't know how to feel about that, but I'm very excited to read it because I love Ali Hazelwood. Another one that I really want to read that just came out is Swift and Saddled by Lala Sage. I just mentioned Done and Dusted. This is a sequel. I'm so excited because I love the first one. I don't even know what this one is about, but I think it's about the brother. Yes, it's about Weston. And he hires someone to do like the interior design of a guest ranch he's building, and they fall in love. Don't know much more than that, but I was very can't speak ever. I was very excited for Weston's story from what I saw of him in Done and Dusted. I really loved the whole family, almost. So I'm very excited to see this. And then another one of my favorite authors released a book this year. That is The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. This came out earlier this year, I think. Did it come out in April? March or April. It's not that early. But it's so pretty. I'm very excited to read this. This is very different, again, from her other books. This is a standalone. Everything else has been a series, but I don't really know how to feel about this. I read it and I wasn't sure. I read the blurb or something, the synopsis, I don't know what to call it. That, and I wasn't sure how to feel about it, but then Leigh Bardugo posted a little video of her reading parts of the book and I was very interested. So I'm very excited for this. I have the Sprayed Edges one. I have it displayed on my shelf and I love it. So I'm very excited to get to this. Hopefully soon, but I don't know. Next question. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I wrote down 3. I think there's more, but like these are the main ones I'm excited for. Nothing Like the Movies, the sequel to Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. Very excited, very scared, not ready for the heartbreak. Hopefully there's a happy ending. It's a romance, it's gonna be a happy ending. Very excited. Blue Graffiti by Callahan. I just can't do that last name. Every time a word is very Scandinavian, I can't say it in English. It just doesn't work for me. I know that he says his name, everyone else says his name in English, but it doesn't make sense in my head to be like Callan Skogman. Callan Skogman. That's awkward too. I can't do words if they're too similar to Norwegian. And it's a Scandinavian name. Or I looked into his like ethnic background. Very disappointed to see that there was Swedish in there, not Norwegian, but anyways, Scandinavian, German I think. Not important at all, but his last name I knew that man was not American. He's American, but the name is not American. So anyways, that's not the point. That book is coming out in August. Very excited, except for the fact that it's not available anywhere in Norway. Like I found it on Amazon, but they don't ship to Norway, so it doesn't really help me much. So I don't know how to read it, but I'm going to get it eventually. I will be reading it. And then Daydream by Hannah Grace, the 3rd book in the Maple Hill series. I loved Wildfire, so I'm gonna give the 3rd one a chance. Next question is the biggest surprise of this year. I'm gonna have to mention some books that I've already mentioned. With Wildfire, I already explained to you I wasn't the biggest fan of Icebreaker, so I didn't really want to read this one, but I bought it. Don't know why. But I did, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad I read it because I absolutely loved it. Another one I also mentioned, Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I wasn't really that surprised that I loved it because I knew that I liked Leigh Bardugo's writing. But this is so different that I just wasn't sure what to think. And I knew I wouldn't dislike it, I just didn't know I would like it, love it as much as I did. in this book, I noticed writing more than I've ever done in any book. It just, everything was perfect about her writing. Even when I wasn't too invested in the story, I loved her writing. And obsessed. I was scared. I think this is like a horror thing, and I didn't think that was for me. This is technically a fantasy. That's the way people talk about it. I see it more as a paranormal mystery. Maybe that means it is a fantasy, but like I don't see any. I know there's magic in it, so it's a fantasy. But whatever. It surprised me. I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. Now, onto a more negative thing. The biggest disappointment. I'm so upset about this. A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I saw this in the bookstore. Picked it up, never heard anyone talk about it before. Read the back of it. Oh my god, it looks so interesting. It's about a school where there's like no teachers and the school is out to get you. You have to be like careful. And everything is about allies if you want to survive. I was so excited. Showed it to my mom and I made her read it because I was like, I need this book. And she was like, looks interesting, you should get it. I did. Picked it up. A whole lot of nothing. Absolutely nothing happened in this book. And like the cover is so cute and the plot seems so interesting, but nothing happened. Nothing at all. 300 pages. Nothing. Very disappointing. I was really hoping to love it and I was so excited for it. But it was just so much description. The main character was just talking about things. Nothing was happening. And it was just so much filler information that I didn't need. And like, I don't think a book has ever disappointed me this much because I was so excited for it. And I want to own the rest of the series because it's a trilogy and the covers are so cute. And it seems so interesting, but like I don't want to buy it because it made me angry just thinking about it because I was so disappointed. And that last line in this book angered me. Because it's a trilogy. Nothing in this book happened to build up to that next book except for the last line. And it felt like just a waste of time. Because nothing happened. We're gonna move on now because I don't want to talk too much about a book I didn't like. But we're gonna... I keep thinking about it. How disappointed I am. Like I sit in my bed, look over at my bookshelf, see it. It's on the bottom. I see it and I'm just like, why? We're gonna move on now. We can't look at that. We're gonna get rid of it. Next question. Favorite new author? Debut or new to you? I have two answers. Sarah Adams, which is not a debut author, but she's new to me. I read 2 of her books this month actually. I don't want to say too much because I have a wrap-up coming up at the end of the month. But I really love them. She's writing closed-door romances, which was refreshing. One thing that scared me a little is that I feel like in books there's a lot of sexual tension. Wasn't sure I was going to get this, but there's so much tension in this anyways. And her writing is really good. It's very quick, they're fast-paced. This one's a little too quick for my liking. This one, absolutely obsessed. I was connected more to this one. The characters and the story meant more to me in this. But I like this one more. Don't know exactly why. But I really love Sarah Adams and I'm very excited to read the rest of her books. Another one, I need to find the books again because I keep putting them somewhere. Not that one. Lila Sage. This is just a little mention of her. I've only read 1 book by her, so I don't really know if she's my favorite, but what I've read so far has been really good. Everything's a mess. I had it like in good piles before starting, but now it's just spread out over here. Next question is my newest fictional crush. Luke Brooks. No doubt. Favorite man ever. I don't think anyone's gonna ever top him. The way he handled her struggles and how he's like the bad boy who's going soft for her. I love it, love it, love it. And then I also have to say Anthony Bridgerton, the love of my life. It's impossible not to mention him when it's about a fictional crush. Next question is a book that made you cry. There's a few actually that made me cry, but in order to not repeat myself too much. Check-in-Mate by Ali Hazelwood. This is a YA romance. Usually she writes adult romances, so I wasn't sure if I was gonna like this one. Obviously I knew I liked her writing, but I didn't know how her storytelling would be with YA. But it was really good. I feel like this isn't for like the youngest YA readers, but like I feel like this is a good way to, if you're a little older but still like YA, it's really good. It kind of felt more like women's fiction. It was more about Mallory and her life and her development as a person than the romance. The romance was there and I was obsessed with it, but I feel like this book was really about Mallory. This one is about Mallory, who loves chess, but she stopped playing for a reason. But then she gets kind of dragged into another chess tournament where she plays against the best chess player in the world and she wins. And that causes a lot of things to happen. And I had the time of my life. I cried a lot. This wasn't tears over a romantic relationship, but the moment with her family and just the way she felt about things going on in her life. I felt so seen. And I don't know, I related a lot to her. And I was bawling my eyes out. I have a reading vlog of this, and you can see me crying. The amount of tears, embarrassing. But I loved it. I was crying my eyes out. It's really sad. On to something a little more positive. A book that made me happy. The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. I loved this book. I went through it so quickly. I read it in my readathon. This was the first book of June. Loved it. I really enjoyed the relationship between these characters, and yeah, it made me realize I loved Friends to Lovers, and I was giggling while reading this. I don't know how that happened. I'm not like a person who does that, but I was smiling and giggling to myself. Don't know what happened to me, but this book made me happy. Now on to the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year. I have two. One, I've already mentioned them. I just think these covers are so cute. But other than that, Irresistible by Melanie Harlow. I think this is gorgeous. The reason I picked this up was because it's so pretty. I don't know much about it. It's a small town romance about a single dad. Perfect. But anyways, that's not the point. The cover, gorgeous. I'm so excited to read it and I want it on my shelf because it's beautiful. Next question. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? One of them, I have it on my book cart. It's a little taller than a normal size, so it's very hard to get out, so I didn't. But that's Divine Rivals. I've heard so much about it. Don't know exactly what it's about, but I think like the two main characters are writing letters to each other. She thinks she's writing to her brother, but then there's another person. Don't know much more than that. It's a fantasy. It's a romance. And I'm very excited to read it. Also, Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This came out earlier this year, so I need to read it. I'm very intimidated because what is this? Why am I reading about a vampire and a werewolf? Don't really know, but it's Ali Hazelwood, so I have to. So I'm going to make myself read it before the year is over. Because I feel like usually with Ali Hazelwood I would read it as soon as it comes out. I haven't done that this year because Bride is very intimidating. Also, Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I'm trying to get through her books. I didn't read Emily Henry until this year. Read Beach Read. I own this one and Happy Place. I want to read Funny Story, but I'm not letting myself buy that until I've read the ones I do have. So I really need to get to this soon. It's on my summer TBR. What is it about? A publisher, author, literary agent, and an editor. That's what they are. She goes away to a little vacation, I think. Her sister makes her do it. She keeps running into Charlie. Don't know much more than that. But I'm very excited because I love Beach Read. Then the next question I didn't really have an answer for because it's the best book adaptation. I haven't watched many adaptations this year of books I've read this year. I've watched Bridgerton. I watched the rest of season 1 because I stopped when I first started it. Don't really know why. And then season 2 and season 3. I haven't read the third Bridgerton book, so I don't know how that actually the adaptation was of that. When it comes to the second book, I really loved the second season of the show. I don't think it's the best adaptation because it was different. So I really love the show, but I don't think it's the greatest adaptation ever because it doesn't really follow the source material that much. Some of the scenes that I was the most excited for was either not there or changed. And multiple scenes were changed and it hurt me. And I feel like you didn't really get that much of Anthony in the show as you did in the book, like all of his fears and basically the thing that drives him wasn't as important in the show. Like, that's a big part of his character. So don't really have a favorite adaptation. I loved Bridgerton, the show, but not as an adaptation. Now, favorite author so far this year, my favorite author will always be Leigh Bardugo. I think she's proved herself to be good at anything she does. New author, Sarah Adams. I read 2 books, loved them both. And then obviously I have to say Ali Hazelwood and then Painter. They're always my favorites, but I haven't read much of them this year. I've read 1 book from each of them. I have 2 more Lynn Painter books to read, so I don't think anything's gonna change, but if I'm gonna have to choose some, I'm choosing Leigh Bardugo and Sarah Adams. Now on to books I've been putting off. I put some answers as books I've read this year that I've been putting off but finally read, and then I have some that I've been putting off and still haven't read. So for the ones that I've been putting off for a long time but finally read this year, Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score. I read the first 2 books in this series last May, and then I picked this one up in April, maybe? I don't really remember. But I tabbed it. I loved it. This is about Sloane and Lucien, which we met in the first 2 books. And we've seen a lot of them like bickering with each other, kind of hating each other. In this one we learn why, because they grew up together, but we never knew what happened between them or why they hated each other. In this one we figure that out while they're also hanging out, because they're in the same friend group. So they have to see each other. Then more things happened. You see like flashback scenes from them growing up together and scenes from the current time, and I love both of it, so really recommend. I don't know why I kept putting it off. I just saw so many bad reviews of it. Another one that I've had for ages is The Athletics by Olivia Blake. I think I've had this for years, never wanted to pick it up, don't know why, but I ended up picking it up and I absolutely didn't know what to say because I was enjoying the writing. I was enjoying the... I don't even know. I was very confused. I was like absolutely confused. I didn't know what to think. But I gave it 3 stars. But I didn't hate it and I didn't love it. And I want to continue the series so bad. But it's... I don't know what to say. I still don't know what to say about this. It's a very character-driven story and I didn't really like the characters. There's a few of them I enjoyed, most of them I didn't. But I'm still very intrigued, so I will continue the series. So maybe it makes sense that I put it off for so long, I don't really know. Also, The Viscount Who Loved Me, second Bridgerton book. Like I said, I read the first one in 2022. Kept putting it off. Absolutely loved it, so I need to stop doing that. Now on to a book that I've been putting off for a long time, that I still keep putting off. I read Twisted Love 2022. I have the rest of the series, and I just don't read it. Don't know why. Is my camera gonna turn off? Is that why the text got red? Don't know. I had a chance to... I was right. It did turn off. But I'm filming a video right now. Well, not right now, but I'm in the middle of a reading vlog. This was an option for it. Again, kept putting it off. Don't know why. I have no desire to read this. But I like Twisted Love, so there's no reason to it. I don't want to. But I'm gonna push myself to do it. Is it gonna happen? Probably not. I'm gonna have to eventually. I own it, so we're gonna have to do something about that. Now, a book you enjoyed with mixed reviews. Where did I put it? Here. I've already mentioned this book, But Check-in Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I think the reason that this has so many mixed reviews is because she usually writes adult romances, so that's what people expect from her. And this was obviously very different. And it's very chess heavy. I feel like people didn't like that. I enjoyed it. I don't know anything about chess, but I still loved every single part of this book. So I kept putting it off because I saw so many bad reviews, but I loved it. So don't listen to the bad reviews. Read it and figure out for yourself. Now onto some series I want to finish before the end of the year. There's actually quite a few. I'm not gonna mention all of them, but I'm mentioning a lot of them. ACOTAR, this is the next one I have to read, and I'm gonna be reading it before the summer is over. I'm telling myself that. Will it happen? Probably not, but I'm gonna have to force myself because I want to finish this series before the year is over. The Inheritance Games trilogy, I have the last book to read. I just need to do it. The Housemaid series, I haven't read this one, but I don't own the third one yet, so this is the one I'm holding up. The Housemaid is Watching just came out, so I need to buy that and read it. Wasn't really the biggest fan of these, but I love the writing. I think Freedom, my friend's writing is really good. The books anger me, and I don't want to think about it, so I'm just gonna move on, but I'm gonna finish the series. Chestnut Springs, I just read Flawless. Now I need to continue. I own the next 3 books. Very excited. Will be happening soon. The Hunger Games, read that also very recently. I started it in June, I think. Yeah, I did. So I need to read the next 2 books in the Hunger Games trilogy, then I need to read the prequel, and they just announced a 4th book. I need to read that, obviously, when it comes out. And then I need to finish the Grishaverse. This is the only book I have left, and I'm keep putting it off because I'm so afraid of it ending. I don't want it to end because I am so obsessed with it. A question I added myself is series I want to start. So I have 4 that I'm like really thinking I want to read. Throne of Glass. I own the whole box set of this. I'm telling myself I can't read it until I've finished ACOTAR. It's getting very hard because I watched the latest episode of Bookmarked, and Sarah Crowley chose, they were talking about like fan casts, and she put Freya Allen, who plays Ciri in The Witcher, as Selena. Is that her name? I think so. And now I need to read this series right now. So maybe I will start it before I finish ACOTAR, who knows. The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. People talk about this as Criminal Minds but make it kids. Love Criminal Minds. I feel like this is perfect for me, and I will be reading it soon. I just need to finish the Inheritance Games trilogy first. So this will be read probably this fall. Hopefully sooner, but most likely this fall. The Vera Stanhope series. I haven't read any of the books yet, but I'm in love with the show. I grew up watching British crime with my mom, so I think it's time for me to read the books. I started reading the Poirot series by Agatha Christie. I want to read more of the shows as books. These books that the shows are based on. That's whatever. I love Vera. I'm excited to read it. What else did I have? That was it. Now next question. 5-star predictions for the rest of the year. Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo, the second book in the Alex Stern series. Really loved Ninth House, so I think I'm going to love this one as well. I haven't really read the back of it, but after what happened in the first one, I'm excited to continue, and I think I'm going to love it. Also, Swift and Saddled, we'll be reading that pretty soon, hopefully this summer. I think I'm going to do that. I'm obsessed. Now, these were questions added by Katie Whitrock. I got the inspiration from that, the one I just answered, and the next ones. And that is, do you think you'll reach your reading goal? Are you going to change it? I put my reading goal as 80 books. I think I'm going to be able to do it. I'm not sure. Like, I've read 34 books, but yeah, the next semester I'm going to be doing online, and we only have class once a week, except for a few of the weeks where we have to go into campus, but most of the weeks we're just at home doing a Zoom class every Friday, so I'm gonna have a lot more time to read. Probably gonna get a job, so maybe I'm not have that much time after all. Maybe. We'll see. I think I'm gonna be fine. And then any new goals for the rest of the year? I want to finish more of the series I've started, especially the ones where I only have one book left. Like, it's no reason for me not to finish that, so just do it. Don't buy too many books. I'm not really good at that. I just keep buying. I think I've been better, and then I look at all the books I bought this year and I'm not better. But I'm trying to limit myself to new releases by authors I love and next in series, so that I can finish series. And then post reading vlogs I'm proud of. I feel like I've posted a lot of videos that I don't really love how it turned out, but I posted just to post. I'm really getting better at it. The one that I'm filming now, I love how it turned out so far, and I think I want to do more of that. So I'm very excited for the upcoming videos. But that's all of the questions. I hope you enjoyed the video. I had fun. I'm not the best at talking about books. I don't know how to do it. I think reading vlogs are easier when I'm like in the middle of it. But now my bed is a mess, and I need to put all of these books back on my shelf. But I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you want to answer any of these questions in the comments, feel free to do so. And I'll see you next time. Peace out, lovers.